First Contact Folly. Supreme Admiral Thax of the Galactic Hegemony stood before the massive holographic display, his crystalline appendages reflecting the soft blue light of countless star systems. The annual survey of developing worlds had revealed something unexpected. A new spacefaring civilization on a previously overlooked world called Earth. "Display their fleet," Thax commanded, his resonant voice echoing through the chamber. The hologram shifted, showing a collection of vessels that drew immediate laughter from the assembled Admiralty. The largest human ship was barely the size of a hegemony scout vessel, while their entire fleet could fit within the hangar bay of a single hegemony dreadnought. "Surely this is an error in scaling," First Minister Zira commented, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with amusement. "No error, Minister," replied Fleet Intelligence Officer Van, manipulating the display to show comparative measurements. "The humans have achieved faster than light travel, but their engineering philosophy appears limited." On Earth, Commander Diana Winters watched the deep space sensors with growing interest. The hegemony's transmissions weren't as secure as they believed, and Earth's quantum interceptors had been monitoring their communications for months. "They're still laughing," she reported to Admiral James Rodriguez, her dark eyes reflecting the tactical display. "Just as we predicted." Rodriguez nodded, studying the holographic representation of Earth's true fleet. Hidden in plain sight, thousands of microscopic ships clustered around what appeared to be conventional vessels. Each nanoship carried more computing power than the entirety of Earth's 21st-century infrastructure, powered by quantum cores that defied traditional physics. "Status of Project Firefly?" Rodriguez asked, turning to Chief Engineer Kira Patel. "All systems nominal," Patel responded, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "The quantum mesh is stable, and the swarm consciousness is evolving exactly as planned. The hegemony sensors can't distinguish our nanoships from background radiation." In the depths of Jupiter's atmosphere, where Earth had established its primary shipyards, the next generation of vessels was already under construction. Unlike the massive, resource-intensive ships favored by the hegemony, Earth had taken a different approach. Why build one large ship when you could build millions of tiny ones that could work together as a single organism? Back in the Hegemony Council chamber, Admiral Thax was outlining his plan for first contact. "We'll send Battle Group Omega," he declared. "Show these humans the true meaning of galactic power. 5 dreadnoughts should suffice for a proper demonstration." "And if they resist?" Minister Zira asked, though her tone suggested she found the notion absurd. "Minister," Thax replied, his crystalline form gleaming with confidence, "their entire fleet couldn't scratch the paint on one of our ships. This will be a diplomatic mission, nothing more. These humans will either accept their place in the hegemony or—" He left the threat unspoken. On Earth, Commander Winters played back the intercepted transmission for the United Earth Defense Council. The assembled leaders shared knowing looks as Thax dismissed their capabilities. "The Firefly swarms are ready," Rodriguez reported. "Each nanoship is equipped with quantum disruption fields and neural network interfaces. The moment they realize what they're actually facing, it will be too late," Winters completed the thought. "The bigger they are, the harder they fall," Patel added with a smile, watching as another cluster of nanoships emerged from the Jupiter shipyards, each one invisible to conventional sensors, each one carrying technology that would revolutionize warfare forever. As the hegemony prepared their diplomatic mission, humanity waited patiently. They had learned long ago that size wasn't everything. After all, it wasn't the dinosaurs that survived the Earth's great extinctions. It was the small, adaptable creatures that went on to inherit the world. The stage was set. The hegemony would arrive with their massive ships, their overwhelming firepower, and their unshakable confidence, and humanity would teach them a lesson about the dangers of underestimating those they considered small. In the darkness of space, Earth's nanofleet waited, invisible and deadly, ready to demonstrate that in the age of advanced technology, size was perhaps the least important measure of military might. The art of deception. The Hegemony battle group emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of energy, 5 massive dreadnoughts casting long shadows across Earth's orbital plane. Each ship was a city-sized testament to the Hegemony's power, their hulls decorated with the scars of 1,000 victories. Commander Winters stood at her station aboard the UES Cunningham, Earth's designated diplomatic vessel. At just under 300 meters in length, it appeared almost comically small against the backdrop of the Hegemony fleet. But appearances, as humanity had learned, could be deceiving. Their broadcasting, reported Communications Officer Raj Singh, his fingers hovering over the quantum interface. Full spectrum, maximum power. They're really trying to impress us. Greetings, Earth vessels. Admiral Thax's voice boomed through the command center. We trust our arrival demonstrates the benefits of joining the Hegemony. Rodriguez, standing beside Winters, allowed himself a small smile. Respond on their frequency, minimal power. Let's play this exactly as planned. The massive primary screen of Thax's flagship displayed the human command crew. The Admiral's crystalline features shifted in what passed for amusement among his species as he observed their seemingly primitive bridge setup. Admiral Thax, Rodriguez began, his voice carefully modulated to convey appropriate humility. Earth welcomes the Hegemony. We are honored by such an impressive display of your civilization's achievements. Aboard the Hegemony flagship, First Minister Zaira's bioluminescence pulsed with satisfaction. They understand their position already, she noted. This may be easier than we anticipated. But Fleet Intelligence Officer Van wasn't entirely convinced. Something about the humans' energy signatures seemed odd. Admiral, requesting permission to conduct a detailed scan of their vessels. A waste of resources, Thax dismissed. Our initial surveys told us everything we need to know. Now, observe how one properly welcomes a primitive species into the fold. Deep within the UES Cunningham's quantum core, Chief Engineer Patil monitored the swarm consciousness of the nano-fleet. Millions of microscopic ships moved in perfect harmony, creating an invisible web of sensors and quantum field generators around the larger human vessels. Each one was connected through a neural network more complex than any computer system the Hegemony had ever conceived. Swarm status, Winters asked quietly. They're curious about our energy readings, Patil reported. But their scanning technology is too conventional to detect the quantum mesh. They're looking for large power signatures, not realizing that our true strength lies in the spaces between atoms. The diplomatic exchange continued, with Thax outlining the generous terms of Earth's incorporation into the Hegemony. As he spoke, the human crews maintained their appearance of suitable impression and submission. Of course, Rodriguez responded carefully. Earth would be grateful for the opportunity to learn from your superior technology. Perhaps a small demonstration of our current capabilities would help you determine how best to guide our development. Thax's crystalline form vibrated with barely contained laughter. By all means, little ones, show us what you can do. In the space between the fleets, Earth's primitive ships began a series of maneuvers. To the Hegemony sensors, they appeared to be simple formation exercises, technically competent but utterly unremarkable. What they couldn't see was the dance of billions of nanoships, each one gathering data, mapping weaknesses, and preparing for the moment when appearance and reality would violently diverge. Their ships are well handled, Van admitted, but their weapon systems are barely worth mentioning. The energy output of their entire fleet couldn't penetrate our weakest shields. First Minister Zura turned to Thax. Perhaps we should demonstrate proper space combat techniques, a small display to help them understand the futility of resistance. Thax considered for a moment, his crystalline appendages shifting in thought. Yes, a lesson in humility would be appropriate. Prepare the tertiary weapons array. We wouldn't want to accidentally vaporize them with our main guns. As the Hegemony dreadnoughts began powering up their training weapons, Commander Winters exchanged a knowing look with Rodriguez. Everything was proceeding exactly as Earth's strategic AI had predicted. The hegemony's overwhelming confidence was about to become their greatest weakness. Dance of the Fireflies. The first shots from the hegemony dreadnoughts lit up space like artificial suns. Even at minimal power, their weapons released enough energy to vaporize conventional ships. Thax watched with smug satisfaction as the beams approached Earth's tiny fleet. Then something impossible happened. The energy beams missed. Not just missed, they curved around the human ships as if deflected by invisible forces. On the hegemony flagship's bridge, the atmosphere of casual superiority evaporated. Targeting malfunction, Thax demanded, his crystalline form vibrating with irritation. No, Admiral, Van replied, his sensors going wild. Something's interfering with our weapons. The energy patterns are dancing. In the space between the fleets, reality itself seemed to ripple. The primitive human ships remained in formation, but around them, space shimmered like heat waves over desert sand. Now, Rodriguez commanded quietly. Aboard the UES Cunningham, Chief Engineer Patil activated the quantum mesh network. Billions of nanoships, each smaller than a grain of dust, began to move in perfect synchronization. The swarm consciousness awoke fully, its collective intelligence far beyond anything the hegemony had ever encountered. What's happening? First Minister Zira demanded, her bioluminescence flashing with alarm. The space around the human fleet was coming alive with tiny points of light, like fireflies in a dark forest. Interesting design philosophy you have. Rodriguez's voice came through the comm, all pretense of submission gone. Building bigger ships, bigger weapons, always assuming that bigger means better. The firefly lights multiplied exponentially, forming complex geometric patterns around the human vessels. Each point of light was a nanoship revealing itself, its quantum core briefly illuminating as it dropped its stealth field. By the eternal stars, Van whispered, his sensors finally detecting what had been there all along. They're ships. They're not ships at all. They're carriers for the real fleet. Commander Winters finished for him over the open channel. Humanity learned long ago that efficiency matters more than size. Why build one large target when you can build billions of perfect weapons? The nanoswarm moved like a living thing, forming and reforming patterns too complex for organic minds to track. Each microscopic ship carried weapons that attacked matter at the quantum level, capable of bypassing traditional shields and armor as if they didn't exist. Impossible. Thax roared. No civilization would build warships that small. The power requirements alone. Quantum cores. Patel cut in, her voice carrying pride. Each nanoship generates its own microscopic quantum singularity. Small enough to be stable, powerful enough to rewrite the laws of physics on a local level. Would you like a demonstration? Before Thax could respond, a section of the swarm engulfed one of his dreadnought's weapon ports. There was no explosion, no dramatic effect. The weapon simply ceased to exist, its matter disassembled at the quantum level. Full power, Thax commanded, panic finally entering his voice. All weapons, maximum yield. The hegemony ships lit up with energy, their massive weapons throwing out enough power to shatter moons. But the nanoswarm moved like water, flowing around the beams, redirecting the energy through quantum-scale wormholes, making the massive ship's weapons worse than useless. The bigger the weapon, Rodriguez observed calmly, the more energy we have to work with. Your ships are just batteries for us now. Aboard the hegemony flagship, Van's sensors were showing impossible readings. The human nanoships were multiplying, using captured energy to fabricate more of themselves from the very atoms of space. Each new ship joined the swarm consciousness instantly, adding its processing power to the collective. We should retreat, Zira suggested, her confident demeanor shattered. Call for reinforcements. Running won't help, Winters responded, having heard the transmission. Our nanoships are already inside your engines, your computer systems, your life support. We could shut down your ships with a thought. The firefly lights now filled space like a galaxy of tiny stars, surrounding the hegemony dreadnoughts in a dazzling display of human ingenuity. Each point of light was a triumph of miniaturization, a perfect fusion of quantum physics and swarm intelligence. "What do you want?" Thax asked, his voice hollow. "What we've always wanted," Rodriguez replied. "Peaceful coexistence." But the hegemony needed to understand something first. The age of giant warships and brute force is over. Humanity isn't entering the galactic stage as your subjects. We're announcing ourselves as your equals. As if to emphasize the point, a small portion of the swarm reconfigured itself, forming a perfect holographic representation of Earth in the space between the fleets. It was both a demonstration of technology and a reminder. This was humanity's home, and they had learned to defend it in ways the hegemony had never imagined. The fireflies continued their dance, a revolution in warfare written in points of light against the darkness of space, teaching a lesson that the hegemony would never forget. Sometimes the smallest things can change everything. Pride before the fall. Admiral Thax's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained rage as he faced his command staff. "Send the emergency signal," he ordered. "Summon the Grand Fleet." First Minister Zara's bioluminescence flickered anxiously. "Admiral, perhaps we should consider negotiation." "Negotiate." Thax's form shattered and reformed, a sign of extreme agitation. "With primitives who deceived us. The hegemony does not negotiate from a position of weakness." Aboard the UES Cunningham, Commander Winters watched the quantum sensor readings with growing concern. "They're calling for reinforcements," she reported, detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. Rodriguez nodded grimly. "Just as the AI predicted. Pride is universal, it seems." The void erupted with energy as 30 more hegemony dreadnoughts materialized around their beleaguered companions. Each one was a titan of metal and energy, bristling with weapons that could reduce planets to ash. "Last chance, humans," Thax broadcast, his voice resonating with authority. "Surrender your nano-weapon technology and submit to hegemony rule, or be destroyed." In response, the firefly swarm shifted, forming into complex fractal patterns that seemed to fold through dimensions beyond normal space. Chief Engineer Patel's fingers danced across her quantum interface as she directed the swarm consciousness to its next configuration. "They still don't understand," she murmured. "Psi stopped mattering the moment we mastered quantum engineering." The hegemony fleet opened fire simultaneously, thousands of energy beams converging on the human positions. But where their weapons struck, reality itself seemed to bend. The nanoswarm created microscopic quantum singularities that swallowed the energy, redirecting it through subspace. "Fascinating," Patel commented, studying the readings. "Their weapons are actually making our swarm stronger. Each blast provides more energy for nanofabrication." The firefly lights multiplied exponentially, now numbering in the trillions. Each microscopic ship was a marvel of engineering, carrying quantum computers more powerful than entire planetary networks. Together, they formed an artificial intelligence that could outthink any organic battlefield commander. "Impossible," Thax raged as his sensors showed the swarm's growth. "No technology can violate conservation of mass." "We're not violating it," Rodriguez replied calmly. "We're just borrowing mass from other dimensions. Your own weapons are providing the energy we need to open the gateways." The space between the fleets became a dance of light and shadow as the nanoswarm demonstrated humanity's mastery of physics itself. Hegemony weapons fire disappeared into microscopic wormholes, emerging behind their own ships. Quantum fields disrupted their shields, while swarms of nanoships infiltrated their hull systems. "This is what happens," Winters broadcast, "when you assume bigger always means better. While you were building bigger ships, we were learning to manipulate reality itself." A new dawn. The battle ended not with a bang, but with a whisper. One by one, the hegemony dreadnoughts went dark as nanoships disabled their systems from within. Not a single life was lost. Humanity's victory was absolute yet bloodless. "How?" Thax asked, his once proud voice now barely a whisper as he stood on the bridge of his powerless flagship. "How did we miss this?" "Because you were looking up," Rodriguez replied, now standing face to face with the Admiral, having been transported aboard by quantum teleportation, always looking up at the biggest ships, the biggest weapons. "You'd never thought to look down, to see how far technology could go when miniaturized." First Minister Zura, her bioluminescence now dim with humility, stepped forward. "The hegemony has much to learn, it seems." "As do we all," Winters added, materializing beside Rodriguez. "That's why we're offering partnership, not conquest. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to explore it, understand it, grow with it." The Firefly swarm rearranged itself one final time, forming a bridge of light between the human ships and the hegemony fleet. Each point of light represented a triumph of human ingenuity, a testament to the power of thinking differently. "Your civilization mastered the macro," Paddle explained, her hologram joining the others. "Building bigger, reaching farther. We mastered the micro, learning to do more with less, finding power in the spaces between atoms. Together," Rodriguez suggested, "imagine what we could achieve." In the days that followed, the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented. The proud hegemony, masters of 1,000 star systems, signing a treaty of equals with Earth. The age of giant warships was over, replaced by an era where size meant nothing and innovation meant everything. The Firefly swarm became a symbol of this new age, a reminder that true power often comes in the smallest packages. As human and hegemony scientists began working together, sharing knowledge and technology, they discovered that neither civilization had all the answers. But together, they could ask better questions. And in the darkness of space, the dance of the Fireflies continued, a testament to humanity's greatest strength. Not the power to dominate, but the wisdom to imagine a different way. The end.